For today's dinner we need some basic pasta dough. For this we use 300 grams of semolina. And for those people that know me, they know that with it I prefer to make my pasta dough with semolina and not with normal white flour. But if you prefer, there is nothing that stops you from using white flour. What I like the most from semolina is that you create a pasta that is a little bit more rough and therefore holds the sauce better. The sauce sticks better to the pasta. Put everything inside the mixer and let it run. The pasta dough is ready. We're going to cover it with some cling film and put it in the refrigerator for approximately 1 hour before we start using it. For today's dish we need shrimps, and for this we're going to clean the shrimps and make sure that we take out the intestines, because in a lot of restaurants they leave the intestines inside and that is really disgusting. So we cleaned our prawns and we keep 2 nice ones behind for garnishing. But of course we want to remove the intestines and we want to make it easy to peel so that people don't really have to make their hands dirty when they want to take the meat out. You go in with a knife like this and then you can simply take out the intestines this way. Yeah, make sure that you remove it because it's really disgusting when you leave it inside. Here in Spain, where a favorite dish is the pil, what is basically a plate full with oil and and prawns and about 6 garlic cloves, and they don't clean them, so you're always busy to take the intestines out of a cooked shrimp or prawn. Okay, now it's time to chop up our prawns. I will not do it in the food processor because I don't want them to be, meshed, because when we're going to fill our raviolis I want to fill some chunks with prawns. This we just put on the side and we start with the rest of the ingredients for the filling. We heat some olive oil in our frying pan and we add our finely chopped onions to it. Just to let them sweat a little bit. While the onions are getting fried, we're going to add some fresh wild shredded spinach. And we're going to cook it until it gets soft. So the spinach is nicely soft and some of the juices they evaporated. So we're going to put it on the side and let it get cold. Now the spinach is cooling down. We're going to make the preparations for our sauce. For this we use a half an onion that we chop up. Has to be that finely with it because we're going afterwards to remove them out of the sauce. Some garlic clove. Also this, doesn't have to be too nicely chopped because we're going to cook it in the sauce. We heat up some olive oil in our frying pan. And we're going to add the onions, the garlic, and the heads and the shells of our shrimps. We're frying our onions and the shells and the heads of our shrimps, and we start adding at this stage about 1.5 teaspoon with concentrated tomato paste. We cook it a little bit so that the acidity goes out, and we start adding approximately 700 milliliter of cream that we bring to boil. Now this is also the moment that all my neighbors start getting crazy, because the smell is just amazing. Once the cream is boiling, we start reducing the heat so that we will have a light simmer, because now the cream has to condense down. We want the sauce to become thick from itself, and we want to extract all these lovely flavors from the shrimp's head and the peels. I add now with it some nice fresh lemongrass that I picked from my terrace, just to give a nice little background flavor to our sauce. As our spinach still contains quite a lot of juices, we're going to squeeze it out, because otherwise our filling will become too wet and the pasta will become soggy. Once we have done that, and you see there is a lot of liquid coming out, we're going to chop it roughly so that we get a good mixture in order to be able to fill our raviolis. Wow, that's great. That's more than enough. We're going to add a handful of yellow cheese and 1 soup spoon of parmesan to our prawns. The mixture with onions, garlic and spinach. And now we're going to add the glue, because the filling has to be stick together nicely, and for this we use some mascarpone. Not too much, because also the sauce is made out of cream and we don't want it to become too heavy. Okay, nice pinch of pepper. We add some lemon rind, and we're going to add salt, and now we're going to mix this together. I did roll out my dough nicely thin, and with a cutter I make a nice like a biscuit. I have these little forms here that helps me with it to make good with it raviolis, especially also because they really close them well. As you can see, the ravioli is nicely closed and has a nice shape. Okay, it's time to finish our raviolis and the side dishes. We're going to make some nice spinach. Put a little bit butter in the frying pan we're going to add at least a 2.5 teaspoons of salt to the water for the ravioli, and we're going to add some olive oil. Taking out the raviolis from the refrigerator. Bring the water to boil. Also start bringing up the sauce to heat. Adding some salt and some pepper to our sauce that we made from basically the waste of our shrimps. Now, important is that we're going to stir the water while we put in the raviolis, so this to avoid that they will start sticking to each other. Okay, we turn up the heat a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to turn the spinach, and I turned down already the heat because we don't want the spinach to be overcooked. And you know, I didn't take the stems away because after all I paid for it. It has a lot of flavor. Add some salt to the spinach, and we have now just to wait until everything is cooked and ready to be plated. In the meantime, I fry 2 shrimps for the garnishing, and you know, also for the taste, of course. I mean, it's not a punishment to have a good shrimp. Some salt with it to the spinach, and now that it is hot, we have to get rid of the excess juice, so we put it in a strainer like this, so that it can leak out, and we will help it a little bit by squeezing it, because we don't want the juices to be on our plates. Time to dish up a nice quantity of spinach in the middle of the plate. Nice, fresh, still with a little bit of bite. Now we're going to take our raviolis. They're very, very hot. They look delicious. And we're going to add some of our amazing sauce on top. And the whole thing we garnish off with a prawn. Voila! A fantastic meal that we created.